Hey guys, and welcome to my very first game review. Of course, I will be reviewing Streets of Rage 4. Now if you've not already seen the Let's Play series I've put up on Facebook recently, go ahead and check it out because it's a real blast and I had so much fun recording it and playing it. Now, slight disclaimer, of course, this review is just my thoughts and opinions and you are entitled to agree or disagree as you see fit. That being said, let's get on with the review. So Streets of Rage 4. As someone who loved the original games way back in the Mega Drive days, this new and modern return to the series is an absolute blast to play. With its stunning new art style and old school gameplay, it's hard not to like this classic arcade brawler. The game looks and sounds amazing, but the new art style works really well and the environments are full of character and charm. The game has 4 characters to play at the beginning, including series veterans Axel Stone and Blaze Fielding. These two are joined by newcomers Cherry Hunter and Floyd Iraria. All of these characters play differently from one another and are all good fun to play, from Blaze's acrobatic fighting style to Floyd's brutal multi-grab capabilities. Each are satisfying to play and lay the beat down with on some crooks with their own combos and special attacks. Each character's special moves are unique to the character, with Axel performing flaming uppercuts and combos, to Cherry's sound blasts from her guitar. These drain your health as in previous games in the series, but a nice touch in this new game is the ability to be able to regain that drained health if you can keep your combos up against the enemies without getting hit, which allows you to use the special moves strategically, with no expense to yourself if you're good and use them wisely. New to this game also are the star moves, which expend a star token and allow your character to perform devastating special attacks that clear the screen of small enemies and deal immense damage to tougher enemies. These can be life-saving at times. Aside from the main 4 characters the game begins with, there are more to unlock, with Adam Hunter making a return as a playable character for the first time since the first game in the series. And as you meet milestones in overall points that you accrue just from playing the game, you can also begin to unlock classic sprite characters from the original 3 games, who all play just as they did in their respective games, which is also an awesome touch for those who want an even bigger dose of nostalgia. The game is not overly long with its 12 stages, though it has noticeably more stages than its predecessors. Each of the stages are gorgeously illustrated and have memorable overall themes and bosses at the end of each. The game is certainly not lacking in these memorable boss fights, with some awesome returning characters and boss fights from the original games, alongside some interesting new ones. There are also little Easter eggs in the game, hidden throwbacks to areas and enemies from the original games which are cool little secrets to find. And also, should you lose all your lives at any point in a stage, you can restart from the beginning of the stage you're at as opposed to being sent back to the beginning as in previous games, which is nice for those wanting to progress and see all the stages without being brutally punished as it was in the olden days. Though for those seeking that old school challenge, there is an unlockable arcade mode that unlocks once you beat the game, which challenges you to complete the game from start to finish with one set of lives, just like the originals. Speaking of additional game modes, alongside story and arcade mode, there is also a battle mode, which allows you to pit your skills against other people, either locally or online, and there are a plethora of stages to pick from and play this mode on. The mode works quite well if you want to set a score or two, and is fun, though you're not likely to spend too much of your time here. And finally, there is also a boss rush mode, which pits you against all the bosses from the main game one by one in a brutally tough gauntlet, which should suit those looking for even more challenge, though this too requires you to beat the main game first. Of course, there is the classic co-op gameplay, which has always been present throughout the series, and this remains an awesome way to play the game. Nothing quite like teaming up to take on the game as a dynamic duo. Of course, this new game allows you to do this online with someone from your friend list, or with a total stranger. And the neat part about co-op now is that you can turn off friendly damage, so you can unleash your combos and throws without accidentally hitting your partner, which is a lovely quality of life change in my opinion, though the option to keep friendly damage on is there for those who want to stay true to the original games. As great as the game is overall, it's not without a few minor cons. For example, in my experience with the game, there are times where I feel the characters all desperately need some kind of dodge or dash mechanic to avoid some of the special moves and grabs employed by some of the tougher enemies in the game. And the lack of one makes dealing with certain enemies a real hardship as you find yourself in tough situations occasionally. It's worth noting that Adam Hunter does have this ability to do short dashes, which does give him a useful edge, and Cherry Hunter can also do like a run, which also helps her to avoid attacks. I just feel that this could have been implemented across the board as opposed to being given to just one or two characters. I also feel that while the inclusion of the retro versions of Axel, Blaze and the others as characters are a nice touch, it would certainly be nice to have a few more characters in Streets of Rage 4's style. Perhaps you could include Max and Shiver in their Streets of Rage 4 styles once you encounter them in the game. And there's a kick-ass female cop boss who feels like she could have become a playable character, but she didn't in the end, and it was just a shame. Just feels like a missed opportunity to not allow the above characters to become playable. Perhaps maybe we can expect this as DLC? Who knows? But as I mentioned before, the game is short with just 12 stages, and it would be nice to see perhaps a few more. All things considered, there's still plenty here to keep me coming back for more, and I will certainly enjoy playing more of this game as each of the characters on the harder difficulties, and of course it will be a blast to bust out when I have people over for some classic couch gaming. And for a modest price of just £20, things like game length can be quite overlooked when the content that's there has plenty of replay value, especially if you bring a friend along for the ride. Which leads me to my score. I feel like this game deserves a comfortable 9 out of 10. It accomplished what it sets out to do quite easily, and I think it has cemented itself as an instant classic in the series, and the series' best so far. If you love the classic side-scrolling beat-em-ups, then this is definitely worth your time and money. I, for one, plan to play much more of this, and will enjoy dishing out even more justice on the Streets of Rage.